Welcome back to The Grind. In this video, we are going to break down how to use Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer is a very fun champion and has a lot of utility in various aspects of the game. And Silver Surfer does not require to be awakened to be good. The awakened ability increases the potency of his buffs, which is definitely nice to have. And another great thing is he has very high prestige, so when you do awaken him, that will be another advantage of having him ranked up. Now, Silver Surfer relies on cycling his buffs, and we're going to take a look at the rotation that I prefer to use. When the power of Cosmic is active, you'll have a gray rotating buff, and you can activate that buff by using a heavy attack to gain 1 copy of that buff, or by using your special 1 attack to gain 2 copies of that buff, like we did with the Fury. When you use a special 3 attack, it will give an aptitude buff that increases the potency of all other buffs, and anytime you activate a new buff that is not currently active, you will refresh the duration of every other buff. So you can see all the buffs have now reset. So now let's review this cycle. At the start of the fight, I start with a heavy attack, and while the power of Cosmic is active, a heavy attack will phase so that any hit is a miss for 1.1 seconds. It also creates 1 active copy of whatever buff is currently in the rotating gray buff section, and you can apply a second one if you already have one, up to a max of 2 for each buff. Now, if you activate the special 1 attack when the power of Cosmic is active, you get 2 copies of whatever buff is currently rotating through. So I like to start with 1 power gain buff to help gain power better, then use the special attack to get 2 Furies, and then I build up to a special 3, and on the way, you can get your armor up buff, which will reactivate all the current buffs while you're getting to your special 3. This is an example of the phase, allows the attacks to miss so you don't take damage, but you have to be careful when you use it so you don't get hit in the face afterwards. Once you get to your special 3, you'll again be activating another new buff, which is the aptitude buff, so that can also be used as a way to refresh the duration of all the currently active buffs. Once you come out of that special attack, your main goals are to focus on dealing damage with the special 2, and focus on not losing your buffs. The way you keep your buffs active is by triggering a buff that is not currently active. And the way to do this is by using the power gain buff. Because it has a shorter duration than the other buffs, it will expire and allow you time to cycle back to the power gain, so you can use a heavy attack to trigger a new power gain buff and refresh all the other buff durations. What's nice about the special 2 is if you have at least 3 buffs active, the special 2 will be unblockable. This will allow you to get some cheeky special attacks off if you have to throw a heavy attack at the last moment so that you can refresh your buffs. You have the safety net of throwing the special 2, and it will be unblockable, so you'll land the hits. The special 2 also deals increased energy damage, which is the damage in red, depending on how many unique buffs are active, and that's why it's nice to pick up the armor up buff along the way. Now, the special 1 attack allows you to gain a vigilance buff if you have at least 3 buffs currently active, which will ignore miss. So that will be a nice way, another way to use him for certain complex matchups. Now, here is an example of throwing the heavy attack at the last second and then using the unblockable special 2 to get back in the fight without worrying about getting countered. This can sometimes backfire, so you have to be prepared to block or evade after you come out of the phase. And in longer fights, you can even grab your second armor up buff. The problem with this is you have to be careful because the timing to reactivate the buffs will be tight. You can see all the buffs are about to expire, and I was barely able to get that new power gain buff off again. There is a nice synergy though with Doctor Strange and Hulk that decreases the cooldown of power of Cosmic, so you can cycle those buffs quicker. And if you happen to lose your buffs or accidentally claim them in the wrong order, that's okay. You can salvage it. You just start picking up the buffs again. You can use your heavy attacks to build up the buffs. You can use your special 3 to reactivate the buffs so that you don't lose them again. And you can, if you have 1 Fury, you can get the second Fury with the heavy attack, so you don't have to use your special 1 and waste the power. You can pretty much throw your heavy anytime you want because it will phase the attacks as long as you know you're not going to get hit after. So you can see I phased the second part of this special attack and grabbed the armor up buff, and then I was able to counter after his special attack. And then I built up to a special attack 2 and was able to throw that off. And then if you have 2 bars of power, you can just go ahead and throw that heavy off to claim your buff, and then go immediately into that special 2, which is unblockable, and get some damage. Now we're going to talk about the wide variety of uses for Silver Surfer. So he takes 0 damage from Cold Snap, as well as shock and incinerate damage. He does still get the debuffs, which is great for willpower if you have it, but also these debuffs each, even if they're the same, all of them count as unique buffs, which is very useful for Silver Surfer because you can see this medium with only one buff did 500 bonus damage. The energy damage scales based off how many buffs Silver Surfer has. So now that I have a bunch of incinerates, each one scales that red energy damage up to almost 2,000. So we almost did 4 times the damage because of the incinerates that were active. So any node or champion that you're going to be taking Incinerate or Cold Snap or Shock upon hitting the opponent will stack up those buffs and increase the damage you deal. Now this is the Cavalier event quest with Distract, and I did mess up a little bit in this fight, but you can see every time you throw a heavy and consume that Power of Cosmic, or with a special one, you apply 3 armor break debuffs. And all you need is 3 debuffs to allow you to deal damage with Distract. So as long as you continue to cycle your heavy attacks or special one attacks to consume the Power of Cosmic and stack up your buffs, you'll continuously be able to deal damage throughout the fight because of the 3 armor break debuffs that stack up. Now, I also want to highlight another one of the interesting synergies that you can get with particular interest is Cosmic Ghost Rider. You can see I blocked that attack, so I didn't take much damage, but it did deal a lot of damage. But with this synergy, if you're going to take more than 25% damage from a single source, you'll go indestructible and take 0 damage, which is an incredible utility to have, which makes Silver Surfer viable for even some of the all or nothing nodes, as long as you're able to take them down before they can cycle through to a special 3. So you can see I went indestructible and took 0 damage from that because it would have dealt over 25% of my health. So that's a very interesting, unique synergy to have that might add some value to Silver Surfer in various aspects of the game, even if it's just a failsafe in case you take damage you weren't expecting. Now this is the Cosmic Event Quest map with the buffed up node, so you have to have 3 buffs in order to deal damage, which is great for Silver Surfer because he very quickly and easily can get 3 buffs and maintain them throughout the entire fight, and he does cycle buffs frequently, so he does stack up the aptitudes as well. So you can see we get to the special one, and I did mess up a little bit, but as soon as I go with the special one, I have a dexterity on me, so then I get the 2 furies from the special one, and I'm already stacking up aptitudes, and then the remainder of the fight you'll continue to be able to deal damage without any difficulty. Now to save time, I'm skipping past the special 3 and building back up to the special 2, which does a bunch of overkill, but you can see the energy damage is dealing almost double the damage that the regular hits are doing. So with all those buffs active, the energy damage scales up quite nicely. So Silver Surfer has so many areas of use and some things that he does very well. He can be used in war for certain nodes that apply Incinerate or Shock, as well as Alliance Quest, and a lot in Act 6 that has some nodes like Freeze Burn. And if you can't get the enemy champion above a bar of power to beta special and get another in, you can just attack into the block. Once your Power of Cosmic is active, throw your heavy, which you'll phase so that they can't hit you, and then you'll deal damage to them, activate your buff, and push them up closer to a bar of power. So you can then get another combo in after baiting out the special attack without having to parry if you're not able to, or intercept an attack. So he can be used in so many ways, and the more you play him, the more you realize you can do with him, but he does take some time to get comfortable with and practice. So I do hope this video was helpful in learning to play Silver Surfer. Let me know in the comments what you think of the video, if you have other tips and tricks to share, and I will see you in the next video.